Welcome everybody to my official NXT Revenge Week 2 thoughts. Last night was a very exciting night for NXT. We saw Week 2 of NXT Revenge. We saw Tony D'Angelo get left with a cryptic message, Lola Vice figure out who her next challenger and who has a target on their back, as well as Miles Bourne having to have a huge challenge. And now it looks like Solrook is moving up to the main roster. We're going to dive into all of it in today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe because we do daily professional wrestling content. But without further ado, let's hop right into it. We kicked off the show with Miles Bourne versus Dark State's Dion Lennox for the North American Championship. We know that ever since John Cena picked Miles Bourne in the Iron Survivor Challenge as one of the contenders, it's been pretty much clear. NXT wants Dion to have a huge future. That's what's going to happen. But if you look at the NXT roster and the current NXT champions, you look at everything, and there really looks like no spot where a guy like Dion could win a championship. So now you wonder, what can NXT do to have Dion Lennox either move away from Dark State or go win a championship and be a dominant force where he can build himself up to go to the main roster? I think that what NXT did during this match right here, how they booked this match, having Miles Bourne push Dion Lennox into Saquon Sugars, which was standing on the apron, and then having Miles Bourne pick off the win off that, I think that is obviously going to come into play. But is NXT going to let it come into play so much where we see Dark State break up? Because Dion could easily blame this on Saquon Sugars. Saquon was standing on the apron, and there was no reason for him to be there. So there is obvious reasons why Dion could blame Saquon for him losing this title opportunity, which he's been working for. So, I think that's another reason why we could be seeing Dion Lennox leave Dark State, which I think would be really fun and an interesting way to have a little change up in NXT. We know we've seen Dark State be a pretty strong faction ever since Stand and Deliver, really. We've seen Dion Lennox go behind their back and attack Miles Bourne, which Saquon Sugars did not like. So now here, it looked like they were on the same page until the ending. So, will NXT capitalize on this? Will they let Dion Lennox actually break away from the dominant faction in Dark State, which has been running NXT for about a year now? So, I really hope that they do break him out of Dark State because he's a great talent. I think he's the best talent in Dark State, or the talent that's going to get the most opportunities in Dark State. We know Saquon Sugars, I think, is the best in-ring, the best on the mic, but they just will never give him the opportunity because I guess he is technically the leader of the group, which is why Dion should have went through Saquon before he attacked Miles Bourne. So, overall, I think this was another sign that NXT is going to be bringing Dion Lennox out of the Dark State soon, and will be having him go back after Miles Bourne, I'd assume. So that's going to be pretty fun to see how they do that. The next match was Keanu Carver defeating Joe Hendry by a referee stoppage. Yeah, it was an absolutely insane match. We would see Joe get some offense here and there, but it's clear as day. NXT is building up this absolute powerhouse in Keanu Carver, having him beat former NXT champion, former TNA Knockouts World Champion. It's insane to see. We know that Joe Hendry came into NXT. We thought he was going to be a serious threat. They waited a little bit before they put the NXT Championship on him, and then they instantly had him lose to Tony D'Angelo. So it was super interesting how WWE made those moves for Joe Hendry. But now it's even more interesting having him put a young guy like Keanu Carver over, because I just don't think this was the right person to do it. I think that obviously you have to have Keanu be a strong guy like Joe Hendry in NXT, a guy who has force, to have him took serious. But at the same time, it's a former NXT champion and a guy that's still trying to get the championship back. So do you really have to have him lose off a referee stoppage of Keanu just pounding his head into the mat? I thought this was a very dominant way to have Keanu Carver and WWE say, hey, listen, he's here to stay. He's going to be coming after everybody and taking everybody's head off, so be ready. And I think that was a clear shot at Tony D'Angelo. After he beat up Joe Hendry, he went backstage and said, hey, Tony, I want that title. He told Robert Stone, I need Tony D'Angelo now, because he just beat the former world champion, so that would be an obvious reason for Tony and Keanu to get it on at the next PLE, or even next week. I wouldn't be mad at that either. But I think what WWE's doing here is a ballsy move. It's a move that they can either suffer from, or they can be absolutely great and have a powerhouse like Keanu just thrive. But it's going to be interesting to see how they do it, because it's definitely going to be difficult to have Keanu keep on this wrecking path. But the fact that he went off a referee stoppage, just pounding Joe's head into the mat, I thought was super absolutely insane. Did I want it to end like that? No, but at the same time, I don't think it was smart booking anyway, unless we're going to have Keanu be shot up to the moon and beat Tony D'Angelo at some point in the next 6 months. We would then have Lexis King defeat EK Prosper to be the new men's speed champion. Y'all know EK Prosper's my guy. I really wanted EK to win. This would have been his first championship in the WWE, but unfortunately that did not happen last night, and we would see Lexis King pick up the victory, and I guess it is deserved. Birthright is in full force. Birthright is a strong faction, almost passing up the strongest faction in NXT, and we would see a title be added to this group with Lexis King winning the Speed Championship. I don't really, obviously, whenever they announced that the Speed Championship would be a part of NXT now, I definitely did not expect it to become a big deal like how it is now, because this match right here, absolute banger matches, and I love how the fact that you got a timer, I think that's just a beautiful thing about it, and obviously it was before, a Monday Night Raws and stuff like that, whenever it was not on NXT, but now it's in NXT, now it's banger matches after banger matches. We're seeing guys like EK Prosper just pretty much carry the division, guys like Elio LaFleur, and I thought that was really cool. Obviously, Jasper Troy was a huge part of it as well. So seeing Lexis King become the new Speedy Champion, I think, good decision, but what are we going to do from this? Was this just a play to get Birthright looking like a strong faction, or is there something deeper than that? I'm excited to see how that goes, but there's not really much to touch on with that situation. We would see Tatum Paxley defeat Blake Monroe in a casket match to retain the Women's North American Championship. And honestly, I think that to some extent we all knew Tatum was going to win. Tatum's the future. I think that she probably is the third most important superstar in NXT going up to the main roster. And I don't know how long they're going to wait to bring her up, but I think she's ready. The promos are really getting better. I think that if they put her on the mic a little bit more, then they could get her more ready for the main roster. But I think that the main thing with Tatum, we just don't know really how good she is on the mic because she hasn't been given opportunities. But with a superstar like Jacy Jayne, she's absolutely amazing in the ring. She's absolutely incredible on the mic. So there's valid reasons to put her on the main roster. But for this match right here, we would see a cool ending with Blake Monroe trying to close that casket, but Tatum Paxley sliding the championship in where it just makes this little crack in the coffin, which, if she didn't get that in time, that would have been deadly. But either way, we would see Tatum Paxley hit the Rolling Thunder to put Blake in the casket, and that would win her the match to get her title back. So I think that this match right here definitely deserves love. I love the match. I love the finish here. It was really interesting and a really fun way to have Paxley retain. But now you wonder, the call-ups that we heard was Sol Ruca, Jacy Jayne, Joe Hendry, and Ethan Page. So after seeing this, what could possibly be the outcome of this? Where does Blake Monroe go from here? Does she move up and try to take out a superstar like Lola Vice? I don't think that's the play, because the next segment was Izzy Dame laying out Lola Vice during her promo. Lola Vice would talk about how she's trying to find out what it means to be NXT champion and that she's ready for anybody to step up. And then we see a superstar like Izzy Dame that's been on a wrecking path ever since she's got out of her feud with Tatum Paxley. She lays her out. With Izzy Dame and the rest of the Colings surrounding the ring and taking out champion, that's going to be a huge, huge rivalry. I can just feel it. Every rivalry that Izzy Dame gets in, it's a huge rivalry. She always is in it for a while, and I think this one's going to be another one of those. I think Vice obviously needs to move on because she's just a great talent. But right here, either way, it was a really cool way to show us who the next challenger is for Lola Vice, and having it on technically a PLE standpoint, a PLE-worthy match card, it's really important to see, and I'm excited to see how or when NXT books this match. I think it's going to be really fun. I do want to date back to Keanu Cover versus Joe Hendry. I just realized whenever I was talking about the call-ups, Joe Hendry is getting caught up. He has a concert on Monday Night Raw next week, so that's obviously the reason. I guess they just kind of wrote him off of NXT, so he's coming out of NXT with only one World Championship reign, which I think is kind of sad because he definitely should have had more than that. But obviously I do want to hear y'all's thoughts in the comment section, what y'all think about that. Joe Hendry going up to the main roster and only having one NXT Championship win under his belt. But I guess we did see Javon Evans will go up to the main roster. He's doing great things, and he potentially might even win the Intercontinental Championship in no week. So I'm excited to see that. But I guess it really don't matter how many NXT championships you win in NXT before you go to the main roster, because Javon is doing great things on Raw right now, and he didn't win the NXT Championship. So that's going to be fun to see how Joe Hendry does on the main roster. I honestly don't think it'll play out. That's just my personal opinion, my early opinion right now. But I really hope it does, because I do like Joe Hendry. I just don't like his in-ring style. But that's obviously a lot of like something that a lot of people would not agree with. And in the main event, it would be Zaria defeating Sol Ruca in a absolutely insane last woman standing match to write Sol off TV and to have her go up to the main roster. This is just beautiful. We love to see it. As a Sol Ruca mark, I love to see it. And I know y'all are at a different angle now. Y'all are back at this angle. We're eventually going to move back to this angle where y'all can see the Sol Ruca poster in the back. But I think this right here was, you obviously don't like to see Sol Ruca lose. But this right here, Zaria had to dig deep into a different side of her heel level, her heel character, to throw Sol off of the scaffolding onto the two tables, which was a scary spot, by the way. Sol's head banged onto the other table. It looked scary. No update on if there's any injuries there. I really hope there isn't, because there's a clear spot for her on Monday Night Raw right now. I would love to see her on Friday Night SmackDown, though. SmackDown needs help. It's the most underwhelming show of the week for WWE, and I think that if they bring her to SmackDown, there will be a lot more energy over there, and hopefully will make the show better, but I do not want Sol Ruca to fail. That's my only problem. But hope you guys enjoyed NXT Revenge Week 2. I know I sure did. It was a beautiful show. Let me know down below how you enjoyed it, and I will see y'all boys in the next one. Deuces, ooses.